Tonight, we invite you to join us on a magical journey in the enchanting kingdom of Theos. Picture yourself in a land of emerald hills and shimmering rivers, where a grand castle stands tall, whispering tales of ancient times. As you lay back and close your eyes, imagine the adventurous Prince Elian, who discovers a hidden attic filled with forgotten treasures and a cloak with the power to make him invisible. This discovery sets him on a path of thrilling adventures and hidden secrets. Let the calm, soothing story guide you into a world of wonder and tranquility. Feel your body relax with each breath as you drift into a peaceful state, ready to embrace the magic of Theos. Now, let us begin our tale, and may it bring you a night of restful sleep and dreams filled with enchantment and mystery. Chapter 1. The Discovery of the Enchanted Cloak. In the grand kingdom of Theos, nestled among emerald hills and shimmering rivers, stood a castle of unparalleled beauty. Its towers reached for the heavens, and its walls whispered tales of ancient times. Within this castle lived Prince Elian, a young man of boundless curiosity and a heart brimming with adventure. One sunny afternoon, Elian found himself wandering the less-travelled corridors of the castle. He had explored nearly every nook and cranny of his home, but there was one place that had always remained a mystery: the attic. This dusty, forgotten space held an allure that Elian could no longer resist. With a flickering torch in hand, Elian ascended the creaky wooden staircase that led to the attic. The air grew colder and thicker with the scent of age-old wood and forgotten memories. As he pushed open the heavy creaking door, a world of antiquities unfolded before him. Shelves lined with leather-bound books, crates overflowing with peculiar trinkets, and furniture draped in white sheets stood like silent sentinels of the past. Elian's eyes sparkled with excitement. He stepped cautiously, his boots disturbing the thin layer of dust that had settled over the years. Each object seemed to whisper a story, and Elian was eager to listen. As he moved deeper into the attic, something caught his eye. A large, ornate chest, its brass hinges tarnished but still glinting faintly in the dim light. Kneeling before the chest, Elian traced the intricate carvings on its surface. His fingers found the latch, and with a soft click, the chest opened, revealing a trove of treasures. Among the artifacts lay a cloak, unlike any Elian had ever seen. It was woven from a fabric that shimmered like liquid silver, and it seemed to pulsate with an inner light. Curiosity piqued. Elian lifted the cloak from its resting place. It felt surprisingly light, almost ethereal, as if it were made from the very essence of moonlight. As he draped it over his shoulders, a tingling sensation coursed through his body, and he felt a strange, exhilarating energy envelop him. Elian glanced around, wondering if the cloak held any secrets. He walked to a nearby mirror, his reflection hazy in the dusty glass. But as he stood there, he noticed something extraordinary. His reflection began to fade until it vanished completely. Elian looked down at his hands. They were invisible. A gasp escaped his lips. The cloak had rendered him unseen, a ghost in his own castle. Excitement and awe filled his heart. He removed the cloak, and his reflection reappeared, solid and real once more. Elian could hardly believe it. The cloak possessed the power of invisibility, a gift both wondrous and dangerous. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows in the attic, Elian knew that his life was about to change. The cloak was not just a relic of the past. It was a key to adventures he had only dreamed of. With a determined smile, he folded the cloak carefully and placed it back in the chest. He would return for it soon, but first, he needed to understand its origins and the responsibilities that came with such power. As Elian descended the staircase, the attic door creaking shut behind him, he couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning. The enchanted cloak had chosen him, and with it, he would uncover the hidden secrets of Theos and embark on the most thrilling journey of his life. The following morning, Prince Elian awoke with a sense of purpose. The discovery of the enchanted cloak had ignited a flame of curiosity within him, and he was determined to uncover its secrets. He hurried through the castle's grand hallways, making his way to the ancient library, a vast chamber filled with towering bookshelves that stretched to the ceiling, each shelf laden with volumes of wisdom and lore. Elian loved the library. It was a sanctuary of knowledge, a place where he could lose himself in the pages of history, myth, and magic. Today, however, his search had a specific focus. He needed to find any information about the cloak and its origins. The prince began his search, carefully selecting books that seemed promising. His fingers brushed over leather-bound tomes and scrolls, some so old that their titles had faded away. Hours passed as Elian pored over the texts, his eyes scanning for any mention of an enchanted cloak with the power of invisibility. Finally, he stumbled upon a manuscript bound in deep green leather, embossed with gold leaf. It was titled The Chronicles of Theos' Artifacts. Elian's heart raced as he opened the book, its pages delicate and yellowed with age. Within its contents, he found a chapter that described a cloak woven by a legendary sorcerer named Arion, who had lived centuries ago. According to the manuscript, Arion was a master of enchantments, renowned for his unparalleled skill in weaving magic into objects. The cloak, known as the Veil of Shadows, was his greatest creation. It was said to be imbued with the essence of moonlight and the breath of the night wind, granting its wearer the power of invisibility. However, the manuscript also warned of the cloak's potential dangers. It could amplify the wearer's inner desires and magnify their intentions, whether for good or ill. Elian read on, captivated by the tale of Arion and the Veil of Shadows. The sorcerer had created the cloak to aid the royal family of Theos during a time of great strife, hoping it would be used to protect the kingdom from unseen threats. Over time, the cloak was passed down through generations, its power both revered and feared. The manuscript ended with a caution. Those who wore the cloak must possess a heart of courage and integrity, for the magic within it was not to be taken lightly. Elian closed the book, his mind buzzing with thoughts. The cloak's history was as magnificent as it was daunting. He understood now that its power was a double-edged sword, capable of great deeds, but also perilous consequences. He felt a weight of responsibility settle upon his shoulders. The cloak had chosen him, and he needed to ensure that he used its power wisely. Determined to honor the legacy of Arian and the purpose of the cloak, Elian decided to seek counsel from the castle's resident historian, Master Alaric. The elderly scholar was a wellspring of knowledge, and Elian trusted his wisdom. Elian found Master Alaric in his study, surrounded by scrolls and parchments. The old man looked up, his eyes twinkling behind his spectacles as Elian entered. "Prince Elian," Alaric greeted warmly. "What brings you here today?" Elian explained his discovery and shared the tale of the cloak, showing Alaric the manuscript. The historian listened intently, nodding thoughtfully as Elian spoke. "Ah, the Veil of Shadows," Alaric mused, stroking his white beard. "A remarkable artifact indeed. Arian's magic was powerful, but he was wise to instill his creation with such conditions. The cloak's power must be wielded with the utmost care." "I understand, Master Alaric," Elian replied earnestly. "I wish to use the cloak to protect the kingdom, as it was intended, but I also seek to learn more about its magic and how I can control it." Alaric smiled, his eyes filled with pride. "You have a noble heart, Prince Elian. I will assist you in your quest for knowledge. Together, we shall uncover all there is to know about the cloak and its magic." With Master Alaric's guidance, Elian felt more confident in his newfound role as the bearer of the Veil of Shadows. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but he was ready to face them. The cloak's secrets were beginning to unfold, and with each revelation, Elian's resolve to protect Theos grew stronger. Night had fallen over Theos, casting the castle and its surrounding lands in a tranquil, silvered glow. The moon hung high in the sky, its pale light spilling over the cobblestone streets and bustling market squares. It was the perfect night for an adventure. Prince Elian, heart pounding with excitement, carefully draped the enchanted cloak over his shoulders. He watched in amazement as his reflection faded, leaving him invisible to the naked eye. With a deep breath, he slipped out of his chambers and made his way through the silent halls of the castle, moving like a shadow towards the hidden side entrance. As he stepped outside, the cool night air greeted him, carrying the distant sounds of laughter and music from the marketplace. Elian moved swiftly and silently, relishing the thrill of being unseen. The market was alive with activity, even at this late hour. Lanterns cast warm, flickering light over stalls filled with exotic goods, fragrant spices, and vibrant textiles. The air buzzed with the chatter of merchants and the haggling of buyers. Elian weaved through the crowd, his eyes wide with wonder. He had often visited the market in daylight, accompanied by guards and advisors, but tonight he was free to explore on his own terms. He marveled at the artisans crafting delicate jewelry, the bakers selling sweet pastries, and the musicians playing enchanting melodies. Each scene unfolded before him like a living tapestry, and he drank it all in, unseen and unencumbered. As he wandered, Elian's attention was drawn to a small, dimly lit alley at the edge of the market. He noticed a group of shady figures huddled together, their voices low and conspiratorial. Intrigued, he moved closer, careful to remain silent. "Tomorrow night," one of the figures whispered, his voice raspy. "When the royal family is at the banquet, we make our move. The prince will be our leverage." Elian's heart skipped a beat. He strained to hear more, piecing together the fragments of their conversation. The group was plotting to kidnap him, using the chaos of the upcoming banquet to slip into the castle unnoticed. They planned to demand a hefty ransom, leveraging his safety for their gain. A surge of anger and determination welled up within Elian. He knew he had to act quickly to prevent this threat to his family and himself. Silently, he followed the conspirators as they dispersed, noting their route and hiding places. Once he was certain he had all the information he needed, Elian slipped away, his mind racing with plans. He needed to inform his father, King Alden, and prepare for the coming danger. The cloak had given him the means to uncover this plot, and now it was his duty to thwart it. Back at the castle, Elian removed the cloak and made his way to his father's chambers. King Alden was a wise and just ruler, and Elian knew he would take immediate action. Knocking softly, he entered and quickly relayed everything he had overheard. King Alden listened with a grave expression, nodding as Elian spoke. "You have done well, my son," he said, his voice steady. "We will increase security and ensure the safety of the royal family and our guests. Your discovery has given us the advantage." Elian felt a sense of relief and pride. The cloak had not only granted him invisibility, but also a way to protect his loved ones. As he left his father's chambers, he realized that his adventures with the cloak were just beginning. The power it held was a gift, and he was determined to use it wisely. As dawn approached, Elian returned to his room, the cloak carefully hidden. He lay down, exhausted but exhilarated, his mind filled with the night's events. He knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but he was ready to face it. The enchanted cloak had chosen him, and with its magic, he would uncover the secrets and protect the kingdom of Theos. the night of the grand banquet arrived, bringing with it an air of festivity and anticipation. The castle was adorned with glittering decorations, and the grand hall was filled with the laughter and chatter of nobles and guests from across the kingdom. Prince Elian, dressed in his finest attire, moved among the guests, his demeanor calm but his mind alert. Earlier that day, he had made a promise to himself. He would protect his family and his kingdom from the imminent threat. He had shared the details of the plot with his father and the royal guards, who discreetly increased security measures without alarming the guests. However, Elian knew that the true advantage lay with him and the Enchanted Cloak. As the evening progressed, Elian slipped away from the festivities and made his way to his chambers. There, hidden beneath his bed, lay the cloak. He draped it over his shoulders, feeling the familiar rush of magic as he vanished from sight. His heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination. Navigating the castle corridors with the ease of someone who had roamed them all his life, Elian moved towards the hidden passages that led to the outer walls. The cloak rendered him invisible, but it did not mask the sounds of his footsteps, so he stepped lightly, careful to avoid detection. The marketplace was quieter now, the stalls closed and the streets nearly empty. Elian's eyes scanned the shadows, searching for any sign of the conspirators. He knew they would be moving under the cover of darkness, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As he neared the alley where he had first overheard their plot, Elian's sharp ears caught the muffled sounds of a struggle. His heart raced as he crept closer, his eyes narrowing to see through the dim light. There, he saw the kidnappers, the same men from the market, forcing a young girl into a cart. She struggled against them, her cries stifled by a cloth. Within, you will find allies and uncover the truths that have been hidden for ages. Trust in yourself and remember the lessons you have learned. With a sense of purpose, Elian pushed open the door and stepped into the enchanted realm. He was greeted by a landscape unlike any he had ever seen. Rolling hills of emerald grass, rivers that sparkled like liquid diamonds, and skies painted with hues of pink and gold. Magical creatures roamed freely, their forms shimmering with otherworldly light. Elian marveled at the beauty of the realm, his heart filled with a sense of awe and wonder. As he ventured deeper, he encountered a mischievous fairy named Leora, whose laughter was like the tinkling of bells. Leora flitted around him, her wings casting a soft glow. "Welcome, Prince Elian," she exclaimed. "Orion told us you would come. There is much for you to see and learn." Together, Elian and Leora explored the enchanted realm, encountering creatures of legend and places of immense beauty. They came upon a crystal-clear lake, its waters reflecting the stars above. There, a wise old tortoise named Theos shared tales of the realm's history and its connection to Theos. Elian learned that the enchanted realm was a sanctuary for those who guarded the ancient magic of the kingdom. The cloak he wore was a symbol of the bond between the two worlds, a reminder of the duty to protect and preserve the harmony of Theos. As the night drew to a close, Elian felt a deep sense of gratitude and responsibility. He had uncovered a hidden world, rich with magic and wisdom, and he knew that his journey was just beginning. With new allies and a renewed sense of purpose, he returned to the castle, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Prince Elian returned to the castle with a newfound sense of purpose. The hidden world he had discovered, rich with magic and ancient wisdom, was now an integral part of his life. He spent his days learning more about the enchanted realm, guided by the teachings of Orion and the playful assistance of Leora, the mischievous fairy. One moonlit night, as Elian sat by his chamber window, a soft rustling caught his attention. Looking out, he saw a shadow moving gracefully across the courtyard. With the veil of shadows in hand, he donned the cloak and descended silently to investigate. As he neared the source of the movement, he saw a majestic wolf with fur as dark as midnight and eyes that gleamed like amber. The wolf, sensing his presence despite his invisibility, sat back on its haunches and gazed directly at him. "You need not hide, Prince Elian," the wolf said in a voice that rumbled like distant thunder. "I am Fenris, sent by Orion to aid you in your journey." Elian, intrigued and slightly awed, removed the cloak and stepped forward. "Fenris, I welcome your assistance. The path before me is fraught with challenges, and I am grateful for any help." Fenris nodded solemnly. "The enchanted realm holds many secrets, and together we will uncover them. But first, we must revisit the legends of old, for they contain the key to our victory against the looming threats." The following days were filled with intensive study and exploration. Elian, Leora, and Fenris delved into the ancient texts in the castle's library, seeking any mention of the prophecy connected to the Veil of Shadows. The more they uncovered, the clearer it became that Elian's destiny was intertwined with the fate of Theos. One evening, Leora fluttered excitedly around Elian's head, her wings casting a shimmering light. "Elian, I found something!" she exclaimed, holding a scroll that looked older than time itself. This scroll speaks of a prophecy tied to the cloak. Elian unrolled the parchment, his eyes scanning the delicate script. The prophecy spoke of a time when the kingdom would face great peril, and a chosen one, bearing the Veil of Shadows, would rise to restore balance and harmony. This chosen one would be aided by allies both magical and mortal, and together they would uncover the ancient powers needed to vanquish the darkness. Fenris, reading over Elian's shoulder, rumbled thoughtfully. "This aligns with what Orion has told us. The cloak is not merely a tool of invisibility, but a symbol of the unity between our worlds. You, Elian, are destined to bridge the gap and protect Theos. Elian felt the weight of the prophecy settle upon him. But instead of fear, he felt a resolute determination. We must prepare, he said firmly. The threats to our kingdom are growing, and we need to be ready to face them. Guided by the prophecy, Elian and his allies began their preparations. They trained tirelessly, honing their skills and deepening their understanding of the magical forces at play. Leora's playful nature was balanced by her keen intellect, while Fenris's strength and wisdom provided a steady foundation. Together they formed a formidable team, united by a common purpose. As they worked, they unearthed more of the cloak's secrets. They discovered that the veil of shadows could not only render its wearer invisible, but also channel the energies of the enchanted realm, granting Elian enhanced abilities and insights. Each new revelation brought them closer to understanding the full extent of the cloak's power and the responsibilities it bestowed upon its bearer. The days turned into weeks, and with each passing moment, Elian felt more prepared for the challenges ahead. The bond between him, Leora, and Fenris grew stronger, and their trust in one another deepened. They were more than allies. They were a family united by destiny and purpose. As the first chapter of his journey came to a close, Elian stood at the threshold of a new dawn. The prophecy had set him on a path filled with danger and wonder, but he was ready to face whatever came next. With the veil of shadows, his loyal allies, and the wisdom of the ancient legends, Elian was prepared to protect Theos and fulfill his destiny. Chapter 2. The Quest for Harmony. The tranquil days of preparation gave way to a growing sense of unease in Theos. Whispers of a dark sorcerer seeking to overthrow the royal family began to spread like wildfire. The once serene kingdom was now shadowed by fear and uncertainty. The people looked to their king for reassurance, but even King Alden, with his wisdom and strength, could not hide his concern. Prince Elian, ever vigilant, sensed the gravity of the situation. The veil of shadows had prepared him for such a time, and he knew that the moment to act was upon him. One evening, as he stood on the castle battlements, looking out over his beloved kingdom, Fenris approached him with urgent news. "Elian," Fenris began, his voice grave, "Orion has received troubling visions. The dark sorcerer, known as Malakar, is gathering his forces in the Forbidden Forest. He aims to strike at the heart of Theos, and his power grows with each passing day." Elian turned to face his loyal companion, his eyes filled with determination. "We must stop him before he can reach the kingdom. We need to gather as much information as we can and prepare for the inevitable confrontation." With Fenris by his side and the cloak draped over his shoulders, Elian set out into the night. The moon cast a ghostly light over the landscape, and the air was thick with anticipation. As they ventured into the Forbidden Forest, Leora joined them. her presence a welcome spark of light in the darkness. The forest was a place of twisted trees and eerie silence, a stark contrast to the vibrant, enchanted realm. Elien moved stealthily, the cloak rendering him invisible as he scouted ahead. Fenris and Leora followed closely, their senses keen and alert. They navigated through the dense underbrush, each step bringing them closer to Malakar's lair. Deep within the forest, they discovered a clearing where Malakar's forces were gathered. Dark-robed figures chanted ominous incantations around a roaring bonfire, their faces hidden beneath heavy hoods. At the center of the gathering stood Malakar himself, a tall, imposing figure with eyes that glowed like embers. His presence radiated malevolence, and Elien could feel the darkness seeping into the very air around him. Elien watched intently, taking note of the sorcerer's plans and the layout of the camp. He knew that Malakar's power was formidable, but he also knew that the veil of shadows gave him an advantage. With a silent signal, he beckoned Fenris and Leora to retreat. They needed to regroup and form a strategy to counter Malakar's impending assault. Back at the castle, Elien convened a council with King Alden and the royal advisors. He shared the information he had gathered, detailing Malakar's growing army and the sorcerer's plans to strike at the kingdom's heart. King Alden listened carefully, his face etched with concern. "We must fortify our defenses and prepare for the worst," he said. "But we also need to take the fight to Malakar. We cannot simply wait for him to bring destruction to our doorstep." Elien nodded, his resolve unwavering. "I will lead a stealthy mission into Malakar's camp. With the cloak's power, I can gather more information and disrupt their plans from within. We need to weaken them before they can launch their full assault." The council agreed, and preparations began immediately. Elien, Leora, and Fenris spent the next few days finalizing their plan. They gathered supplies, studied the layout of the forbidden forest, and trained rigorously for the challenges ahead. The night of the mission arrived, and Elien felt a mixture of anticipation and resolve. The fate of Theos hung in the balance, and he knew that the time for action had come. With the veil of shadows cloaking him in invisibility, he led his allies into the heart of danger, ready to face Malakar and protect his kingdom. As they moved through the forest, Elien's mind was clear and focused. The lessons he had learned, the allies he had gained, and the power of the Enchanted Cloak would guide him through the trials ahead. He was ready to confront the darkness and fulfill his destiny as the protector of Theos. The night was shrouded in darkness, the moon hidden behind thick clouds, as Elien, Fenris, and Leora made their way through the forbidden forest. The trees loomed like ancient sentinels, their branches swaying gently in the night breeze. Elien's heart raced with anticipation, each step bringing them closer to Malakar's camp. Elien paused at the edge of the forest, his keen eyes scanning the surroundings. The flickering light of the bonfire and the murmur of voices indicated that they had reached the enemy encampment. With a nod to his companions, Elian draped the veil of shadows over his shoulders, feeling its magic render him invisible. He moved forward silently, Fenris and Leora remaining behind to cover his retreat. The camp was a hive of activity. Dark-robed figures moved about, their faces hidden beneath heavy hoods. Elian crept closer, his movements soundless as he slipped between tents and shadows. His goal was to gather as much information as possible about Malakar's plans and to disrupt their operations if he could. As he approached the central tent, he overheard a heated conversation between two of Malakar's lieutenants. They spoke of a powerful artifact that Malakar had acquired, an ancient relic capable of amplifying his dark magic. Elian's pulse quickened. This artifact could be the key to Malakar's power, and destroying it might weaken the sorcerer's hold over his forces. Elian carefully made his way toward the tent, his eyes darting around to ensure he remained undetected. Inside, Malakar's voice rang out, commanding and sinister. Elian peered through a small opening in the tent, his heart pounding as he saw the sorcerer standing before an altar, the artifact, a dark crystal pulsating with malevolent energy, held in his hands. "We are on the brink of victory," Malakar declared, his voice filled with dark triumph. "With this crystal, we will break the royal family's hold over Theos and plunge the kingdom into darkness. Prepare for the final assault." Elian's breath caught in his throat. He knew he had to act quickly. Slipping into the tent, he moved with the stealth of a shadow. His eyes fixed on the crystal, he reached out, his fingers brushing against its cold surface. The moment he touched it, a surge of dark energy coursed through him, but he steeled himself, determined to complete his mission. With a swift, decisive motion, Elian drew a dagger from his belt and brought it down upon the crystal. The blade shattered the artifact, sending shards of dark energy scattering through the air. Malakar spun around, his eyes blazing with fury, but Elian had already vanished, the cloak rendering him invisible once more. Chaos erupted in the camp as Malakar's lieutenants scrambled to understand what had happened. Elian slipped out of the tent, his heart pounding with adrenaline. He had succeeded in disrupting their plans, but he knew that Malakar's wrath would be swift and merciless. As he made his way back to the edge of the forest, Elian encountered a group of soldiers patrolling the perimeter. He held his breath, moving silently past them, his movements fluid and precise. He could see Fenris and Leora waiting in the shadows, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Elian!" Leora whispered excitedly as he approached. "Did you find anything?" Elian nodded, his voice low and urgent. "I destroyed an artifact that Malakar was using to amplify his power. But we need to move quickly. They'll be on high alert now. Fenris growled softly, his eyes fierce. Then let us return to the castle and prepare for the battle to come. They moved swiftly through the forest, the darkness their ally as they navigated the treacherous terrain. Elian's mind raced with the implications of what he had learned. Malakar's power had been diminished, but the sorcerer was still a formidable foe. They needed to strike quickly and decisively to prevent him from regrouping. Back at the castle, Elian convened a meeting with King Alden and the royal advisors. He relayed everything he had discovered, including the destruction of the crystal. The king listened intently, his expression grave but resolute. "We must act swiftly," King Alden declared. "Elian, you have done well. Your courage and resourcefulness have given us a fighting chance. We will muster our forces and confront Malakar before he can launch his assault." Elian nodded, his heart filled with determination. The battle ahead would be difficult, but he was ready to face it. With the Veil of Shadows, his loyal allies, and the strength of Theos behind him, he would fight to protect his kingdom and fulfill his destiny. The sun had just begun to rise over Theos, casting a soft golden light across the castle grounds. Inside the castle walls, the atmosphere was tense with the anticipation of the battle to come. Elian, Fenris and Leora worked tirelessly alongside the royal guards and advisors, preparing defenses and strategizing their next move against Malakar. As Elian reviewed the plans for the upcoming confrontation, a knock on his chamber door interrupted his thoughts. Master Alaric entered, his expression grave. "Elian, there is something you must know," he said, his voice low and urgent. Elian nodded, sensing the weight of Alaric's words. "What is it, Master Alaric?" The old historian hesitated, his eyes filled with sorrow. "There have been whispers of betrayal within the castle walls. Someone close to the royal family is aiding Malakar. We must uncover the traitor before it is too late." Elian's heart sank. The thought of someone within their trusted circle conspiring with Malakar was a heavy blow. "Do we have any idea who it might be?" he asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. Alaric shook his head. "The whispers are vague, but we must act quickly. Trust no one until we can be certain of their loyalty." Determined to root out the traitor, Elian donned the Veil of Shadows and began his investigation. The cloak's power would allow him to move unseen, listening and observing without arousing suspicion. He started with the castle's advisors, carefully watching their interactions and noting anything out of the ordinary. Days passed, and Elian grew increasingly frustrated. The traitor remained elusive, their actions subtle and well hidden. Then, one evening, as he moved through the shadowed corridors, Elian overheard a hushed conversation that sent a chill down his spine. In a dimly lit alcove, two figures spoke in low tones. One of them, Elian recognized immediately. It was Lord Cedric, a trusted advisor and longtime ally of the royal family. The other figure remained cloaked in shadow, their identity concealed. "Malakar's plan is progressing," Lord Cedric whispered. "The destruction of the artifact was a setback, but we can still ensure his victory. The prince must not discover our involvement." Elian's blood ran cold. The betrayal cut deep, and anger flared within him. He stepped forward, his invisibility dropping as he confronted the traitor. "Lord Cedric, how could you?" he demanded, his voice a mix of hurt and fury. Cedric turned, shock and guilt written across his face. "Elian, Before he could finish, the cloaked figure lunged at Elian, a dagger gleaming in the dim light. Elian reacted swiftly, using his training to deflect the attack and subdue the assailant. The cloak's power surged through him, granting him speed and precision. With a final decisive move, he disarmed the attacker and pulled back the hood, revealing a face twisted with malice, one of Malakar's lieutenants. "Why, Cedric?" Elian demanded, his voice trembling with emotion. "Why would you betray us?" Cedric looked away, shame evident in his eyes. "Malakar promised power and protection. I thought I could secure a better future for myself, but I was wrong. I see that now." Elian's anger softened slightly, replaced by a deep sadness. "You've endangered us all. You must face the consequences of your actions." With Cedric and the lieutenant bound and guarded, Elian returned to the war room, his mind racing. He informed King Alden and the advisors of the betrayal. The news met with shock and dismay. But there was no time to dwell on the betrayal. They had to act swiftly. King Alden placed a reassuring hand on Elian's shoulder. "You have done well, my son. We must remain united and vigilant. With the traitor revealed, we can focus on the battle ahead." Elian nodded, his resolve hardening. The pain of Cedric's betrayal fueled his determination. He would not allow Malakar to succeed. With the veil of shadows, his loyal allies, and the strength of the kingdom behind him, Elian prepared for the final confrontation. As the castle readied for the impending battle, Elian felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had faced betrayal and uncovered the truth, and now he would lead Theos to victory. The quest for harmony was far from over, but Elian was ready to see it through to the end. The morning sun rose over Theos, casting a warm glow on the castle walls. Inside, the atmosphere was tense but determined. Elian, Fenris, and Leora stood before the royal guards, ready to lead them into the heart of danger. The time had come to confront Malakar and his dark forces. Elian addressed the assembled guards, his voice steady and filled with resolve. "Today, we face a great challenge. Malakar seeks to plunge our kingdom into darkness, but we will not let him succeed. We fight not just for our home, but for the future of Theos. Stand strong and trust in our unity." With his words echoing in their hearts, the guards rallied, their spirits bolstered by Elian's courage. The plan was set. Elian, Fenris, and Leora would lead a small elite team into the Forbidden Forest to outsmart Malakar's minions and pave the way for the main force to follow. Using the Veil of Shadows, Elian would infiltrate Malakar's stronghold and disable the traps and defenses that awaited them. The journey through the forest was swift and silent. Elian's heart beat with a mix of anticipation and determination. As they neared the edge of the forest, the dark spires of Malakar's fortress loomed ahead, casting long shadows over the landscape. "Stay close," Elian whispered to his team. "We must move quickly and quietly." Using the cloak's power, Elian slipped into the fortress, unseen by the guards patrolling the perimeter. The interior was a labyrinth of dark corridors and hidden chambers, each filled with traps and enchantments designed to thwart intruders. Elian's keen eyes and sharp mind guided him through the maze, carefully disabling the traps and marking safe paths for his team. In one chamber, Elian encountered a series of puzzles, intricate mechanisms, and magical runes that required both intellect and intuition to decipher. He studied the patterns, his mind working swiftly to unlock the secrets. With each success, a new passage opened, leading him deeper into the fortress. Meanwhile, Fenris and Leora led the team through the cleared paths, their progress steady and sure. Fenris's keen senses detected hidden dangers, while Leora's magic provided protection and guidance. Together, they outsmarted Malakar's minions, using their wits and skills to navigate the treacherous terrain. In the heart of the fortress, Elian found himself facing a final daunting challenge. A vast chamber filled with shifting illusions and deceptive mirrors. The air was thick with magic, and the path forward seemed impossible to discern. Elian took a deep breath, focusing his mind and calling upon the wisdom he had gained from his allies and the cloak. He moved through the chamber with deliberate steps, each movement calculated and precise. He ignored the illusions and false paths, trusting his instincts to guide him. The mirrors reflected not just his physical form, but also his inner strength and determination. With the final confident stride, Elian reached the end of the chamber, the illusions fading away to reveal a hidden door. Beyond the door lay Malakar's inner sanctum, a place of dark power and sinister enchantments. Elian's heart raced as he prepared for the confrontation ahead. He knew that Malakar awaited him, but he also knew that he was not alone. His allies were with him in spirit, their strength and support a source of unwavering resolve. As Elian stepped into the sanctum, he felt a surge of power from the Veil of Shadows, its magic resonating with his own. The final battle was at hand, and he was ready to face it with courage and wisdom. Elian stepped into the sanctum, the air thick with dark magic. the chamber was vast, with high ceilings adorned with intricate carvings of ancient symbols. At its center stood Malika, his eyes glowing with malevolent power, a dark aura swirling around him. "Welcome, Prince Elian," Malika sneered, his voice echoing through the chamber. "I've been expecting you." Elian stood tall, the veil of shadows draped over his shoulders, its magic coursing through him. "Your reign of terror ends here, Malika," he declared, his voice firm and unwavering. "I will not let you plunge Theos into darkness." Malika laughed, a sound filled with contempt. "You think a mere boy can stop me? I have the power of ancient sorcery at my command. You are nothing but a minor obstacle in my path to ultimate power." With a wave of his hand, Malika summoned dark tendrils of magic that snaked through the air, aiming to ensnare Elian. But Elian was ready. He moved with the speed and agility granted by the cloak, dodging the tendrils and launching his own counterattack. Drawing upon the knowledge and skills he had honed with the help of his allies, Elian unleashed bursts of light magic, each strike weakening Malika's defenses. The room filled with the sounds of their clashing powers, a battle of light against darkness. Malika's fury grew as Elian continued to evade his attacks. "You cannot defeat me," he roared, his voice filled with frustration. "I am invincible." But Elian knew that Malika's arrogance was his weakness. With each passing moment, Elian's confidence grew. He focused his energy, channeling the magic of the Veil of Shadows, and struck with precision. In a final, desperate attempt, Malika gathered all his remaining power and launched a massive wave of dark energy toward Elian. The force of it shook the very foundations of the chamber. Elian braced himself, the cloak's magic forming a protective barrier around him. The dark wave crashed against the barrier, splintering into shards of shadow that dissipated into the air. Elian saw his opening and moved swiftly. With a powerful leap, he closed the distance between himself and Malika, striking with all the force of his determination and the cloak's magic. Malika staggered, the dark aura around him flickering and fading. He fell to his knees, his power broken. Elian stood over him, his eyes filled with resolve. "It's over, Malika," he said quietly. "You will never threaten Theos again." With a final burst of light, Elian severed the remaining threads of Malika's dark magic. The sorcerer's eyes widened in shock and disbelief before he collapsed, his body lifeless on the cold stone floor. The chamber grew silent, the oppressive darkness lifting as light returned. Elian took a deep breath, the weight of his victory settling upon him. He had done it. He had defeated Malika and saved Theos from the brink of destruction. As he emerged from the sanctum, Elian was greeted by the cheers of his allies. Fenris, Leora, and the royal guards looked on with pride and relief. King Alden stepped forward, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You have done us all proud, my son," the king said, embracing Elien. "Theos is safe because of your courage and strength." Elien nodded, his heart swelling with pride. "I could not have done it without the support of my friends and the magic of the Veil of Shadows. Together, we have ensured the future of our kingdom." The dawn of a new day bathed Theos in a golden light, symbolizing the fresh start for the kingdom. The battle was won, and the dark sorcerer Malakar was no more. The air was filled with the joyous cries of the people, celebrating their freedom from the shadow of tyranny. Prince Elien stood on the castle's highest tower, looking out over his homeland. The fields stretched out in lush greens, the rivers sparkled under the sun, and the people of Theos went about their day with a renewed sense of hope and peace. It was a sight that filled Elien's heart with profound gratitude. Fenris and Leora joined him, their eyes also taking in the beautiful vista. "We did it, Elien," Leora said, her voice tinged with joy. "Theos is safe." Fenris nodded, his expression one of quiet satisfaction. "Your courage and leadership brought us through. You've proven yourself worthy of the Veil of Shadows." Elien smiled at his friends, the bond they had forged through their trials stronger than ever. "We did it together. Each of us played a crucial role. The cloak may have given me power, but it was our unity that brought us victory." In the days that followed, peace returned to Theos. The kingdom began to heal from the scars left by Malakar's dark influence. Elien worked tirelessly alongside his father, King Alden, to rebuild and restore harmony. They strengthened alliances, repaired damaged lands, and ensured that the people's needs were met. Elien also took time to reflect on his journey. He spent hours in the castle library, writing down his experiences and the lessons he had learned. He documented the power and history of the Veil of Shadows, ensuring that future generations would understand its significance and the responsibilities it carried. One evening, Elien found himself back in the hidden attic where his adventure had begun. He opened the chest and carefully placed the cloak inside, its shimmering fabric folding neatly. The Veil of Shadows had served its purpose, and now it was time to let it rest until another worthy soul needed its magic. As he closed the chest, Elien felt a sense of completion. The cloak had taught him much about bravery, wisdom, and the importance of unity. It had shown him that true power lay not in the magic itself, but in the strength of one's character and the bonds of friendship. King Alden joined him in the attic, his presence a comforting reminder of the support and love that had guided Elien through his journey. "You've grown, Elien," the king said, pride evident in his voice. "You've become the leader I always knew you could be." Elien turned to his father, gratitude shining in his eyes. "Thank you, Father. Your guidance and the trust you placed in me made all the difference. I will continue to serve our kingdom with all my heart. The king placed a hand on Elion's shoulder. Together, we will ensure that Theos remains a land of peace and prosperity. As they left the attic, Elion felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The veil of shadows had brought him on an incredible journey, one that had tested him in ways he had never imagined. But it had also given him the strength to overcome those challenges and emerge stronger. Theos flourished in the years that followed. The kingdom became a beacon of hope and harmony, its people united in their commitment to peace. Elion's legacy as a wise and courageous leader grew, his name remembered in songs and stories. And in the hidden attic, the veil of shadows awaited its next bearer, ready to guide and protect when the time came. For as long as Theos stood, there would always be heroes ready to rise to the occasion. They're here